Let's dive into how to play Divine Engage. To play Divine Engage, you are going to need a Divine card and 15 cards made up of the factions shown on that Divine card. So if you are building a deck with Titan, you can have 15 cards that are either balance or progress. You can see it on those little flags, the yellow and blue factions. So you can build a deck of 5 of each element, 5 nature, storm, and volcanic. You're ready to go. Take some d6 or d8s of different colors to represent the elements and runes you're going to gain while playing Divine Engage. If you're playing on Tabletop Simulator, the entire board and table should be laid out for you, which is awesome. The first thing to note with Divine Engage is your divines have your life total on them. So it's just the amber on the left hand side. For Titan you have 12, and for Zephyr you have 16 starting health. Different divines offer different kinds of strengths and strategies when you play with them. So once you've decided on which divine and cards you're going to go with, the first thing you do is shuffle up your deck and draw 4 cards for your starting hand. Once you are happy with the cards in your hand, we can go ahead and gain the runes. If you're not quite happy with the cards you start with, you can mulligan once at the start of the game. Mulligan is a really weird and cool term for card games that basically just means you can replace your starting hand with new cards from your deck. So to do this, just drag out the cards from your hand onto the table, draw back up to 4, and then those cards will be shuffled into your deck afterwards. Now the next step is taking a rune based on your divine. So if your divine is blue, then take a blue rune to start with. The first thing you do is pick a card. You can pick a card with a lot of damage on it, you can pick a card with some awesome abilities, or you can just pick a card that feels cool. So find one that you want to play and play it face down into the engage area in the middle. Once both players are ready, you flip over the cards and reveal. Now the first thing you want to do in terms of the actual engage is compare who won the rock, paper, scissors type matchup. Now nature beats storm, storm beats volcanic, and volcanic will beat nature. So in this case, we both play down a card that is 3 amber, but because my opponent played volcanic and I played nature, they get to win the engage and go first. So the winner of the engage gets to do damage. It's the first thing that happens. So you take the damage on the top left of the card and you add any runes of that type to the damage. So since my opponent played 3, they also have a volcanic rune, so I'm going to be taking 4 damage this turn. The next thing they get to do is their abilities. You ask your opponent, do you want to use any abilities? They resolve all the cards they need to, and then the last thing they do before passing is gain a rune based on the type they've played. So if you play a volcanic card, you'll gain a volcanic rune. Nice and simple. It passes over to the other player. Now whoever lost the engage, that rock, paper, scissors, doesn't deal damage this turn, but they can still use their ability and still gain a rune. So that's the next thing you do. Once you've resolved all the things with the engage, and you've given any options to use your divine abilities with the engage as well, we'll move on to the next round. So draw a new card and you can jump straight into the action. The last few things to cover is when playing in an engage and there's a haste ability. Haste happens before the damage or comparison for the engage. So haste is the very first thing that's going to happen when you flip over the cards. If both players are hasting, then just determine who lost the engage in the last round. Whoever lost is going first. Resolve any abilities like haste and you're into it. If you see something called transcend, this happens when you run out of cards in your deck. Once you've cycled through your entire deck, you have transcended and you've unlocked some cool abilities. So if you see that pop up into the game, that's when it triggers. The final thing to note is that runes give you +1 damage based on the type of rune you have. So if I play a nature, I've got nature runes, I'm going to gain that damage. But they're also useful because you use them to pay for abilities. If a card doesn't have any rune icons in the ability, it means it's free and you get to use it. But if there's little icons above the ability text, that's the cost that you have to pay for that ability. And when you pay the cost, you get rid of the runes from your rune pool. We're pretty much set up to play Divine Engage. This is everything in the game. The final thing are Divine Runes. They are an extra special rune because they are used to charge up some awesome divine abilities. So have a look when you're picking your divine and see if there are some that use those. So if you're confused about what the yellow rune does, they are for your divine runes. Awesome. So go in, strategize, and have a lot of fun with the epic mind games of Divine Engage. Excited to see what you deck build and how the games go.